So now we are going to see the direct object and indirect object. The direct object is an obligatory unit. That is to say, if I say he made, the sentence is wrong. I need to say I made a cake, and a cake is the direct object. Let's look at this sentence. The victims know the truth. Know, as I said before, the verb is the core of the sentence. The verb know is a monotransitive verb. That is to say, it is a two-valency verb. It has valency for the subject. It needs a subject, a noun phrase here, and it needs another noun phrase here. So, transitive verb, monotransitive verb. Mono because it has transitivity to one element, to only one element. And then the truth is the direct object. How do you know? How do we know that this is the direct object? Because it can be the subject in passive voice. The truth is known by the victims. So this is one way of knowing that this is the direct object. Anyway, there are some verbs that cannot be tested in this way. For example, have, because have is a middle verb, and middle verbs are transitive verbs that can't be turned into passive voice, into the passive voice. But we are going to see that later. So the victims know the truth. The victims is the subject, know the truth is the predicate. Subject is the function, the category is noun phrase. Predicate is the function, verb phrase is the category. That is to say, it is what it is morphologically. The is a determiner, definite article, and victims is the head noun. Know is a monotransitive verb, and the transitivity goes to the truth. The truth is a phrase, so the function is direct object. The category is noun phrase. Let's dissect this noun phrase. The is a determiner, definite article, and truth is the head noun. Head is the role, head is the function, noun is the category. Let's look at the next sentence that we have here. Subject, the concerned businessman. Predicate, has sold all his shares. You know, shares are acciones. The concerned businessman. This is a noun phrase. The head is businessman. That is the function. The category, it is a noun. But we've got two words before. What are they? First of all, we've got a determiner because it determines what kind of phrase this is. And it is a definite article. And concerned is a pre-modifier. I wrote it here, pre-modifier. And it is an adjective. Pre-modifier is the function, adjective is the category. So, the concerned businessman, and we've got a verb group. We call it verb group in order not to confuse it for a verb phrase, but it is also called verb. It could also be called verb phrase, but we are going to call this verb group, okay? So, we've got a verb group, and this verb group is made up of two elements, has and sold. Has. What is has? It is a primary auxiliary. Remember that in the other lesson I told you what a primary auxiliary is. An auxiliary that helps you form tenses of the verbs and also voice, passive voice or active voice. So has sold, this is helping us form the perfect tense. So it is a primary auxiliary, and what is it helping to do? It is helping to form the perfective aspect. That is why we call it PAPA, primary auxiliary for the perfective aspect. It is a monotransitive verb. Sold is the past tense of the verb to sell. You sell something. So it is a transitive verb. Now we are going to see these verbs, these kind of monotransitive verbs in detail. And all his shares is, I didn't write it here, the direct object, and it is a noun phrase. It is a noun phrase where we've got all, that is a predeterminer. Predeterminer, both, all, none, they are all predeterminers because they are before the determiner. All, his, all, the, both, the. So that is why it is called predeterminer. His, possessive determiner. Shares is the head noun. So now let me show you something about the direct object that we've got here. Some other examples. So the direct object is a surface structure or function. We don't pay attention to that. It may become the subject of the passive. It answers the question what or who. Yes, what or who. In this example, the victims know the truth. What do the victims know? Okay, so and it usually follows the verb immediately. A transitive verb, of course. He broke a glass, he painted the house, I'll dig the ground, light a lamp, they murdered the chief, mother cut the pie, he hurt himself. Here you've got the categories that can be direct object. You don't know many of them, but anyway, it can be a noun, he has lit a cigarette. It can be a pronoun, I don't hit me. It can be a noun clause that we haven't seen yet. A gerund, and a gerund is ing form. Yes, I like reading poetry. Or an infinitive. So, going back to the direct object, I want to show you in the classification of verbs that this is a monotransitive verb. And so, in the valency patterns that I talked about before, the pattern subject, verb, direct object, SVDO, monotransitive verbs occur with a single direct object. She carried a long whippy willow twig. So, what I wrote here is that here we've got intransitive verbs. They are one place verbs, that is to say, they subcategorize for only one noun phrase, that is the subject. Monotransitive verbs, they are two place verbs. They subcategorize for two elements, for two noun phrases. The noun phrase of the subject and the noun phrase of the direct object. Copular verbs, we have seen them already. They are two place verbs. And so we've got the verb to be, the noun phrase for the subject, and for the object we can have, not for the object, sorry. On the other side, let's say, you can have a noun phrase, an adjective or adjectival phrase, or an adverb or adverbial phrase. All right, in the next explanation, I'll talk about the indirect object.